Good afternoon, I'm Lucy Lipscomb.
And I'm Daniel Gonzalez-Franco.
And you're listening to Science at 1.
The home of good music and even better science, here at Imperial College London.
If you're joining us for the first time on YouTube Live today, please feel free to send in your comments and questions via the comment section below.
On today's program, we'll be brightening up your second lockdown and reminding you of all the cheerful things that have come out of this difficult time.
We'll talk to an expert about the COVID vaccines that are taking over the news.
Discuss how the Welsh government have been using the arts to combat loneliness during lockdown.
Hear about how we've been distributing food to those who need it and growing our own in the garden.
And learn all about the robots that are joining the battle against coronavirus.
All that and more on Science at 1.
But first, the science headlines for the week.
Dragons in space. Well, sort of. The SpaceX Dragon crew of 4 astronauts completed a successful launch from Florida and have now arrived in the International Space Station. The trip was delayed by a few days due to poor weather conditions, but the Falcon rocket and the Dragon capsule successfully took off from the Kennedy Space Center on Sunday evening.
5% more than Pfizer. A new vaccine that protects against COVID-19 produced by US company Moderna has been shown to be 95% effective in third stage trials. The trial had 30,000 participants, with half being given 2 doses of the vaccine, 4 weeks apart, and the other half being given a placebo. We'll be discussing more about the search for a COVID vaccine and our first main story today.
The race to save the prehistoric fish is on. The asprete species has existed for 65 million years, living in the Volsan River in Romania. The species has been on the brink of extinction for decades, with experts estimating that there are just 10 to 15 specimens living in a 1 kilometre stretch of the river. Now, a small team of scientists and conservationists are campaigning to save the fish, spurred on by a recent sighting of 12 asprey in the river.
Orcas gone wild. Fishermen and sailors have reported more than 40 incidents of orcas ramming boats in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of Spain and Portugal. The whales have reportedly been circling boats in groups, nudging them repeatedly from underneath and attempting to dislodge parts of the boat, including the rudder.
What a week of science. Now let's hear some music. Up first we have Rewind by Bainbridge & Co., an up-and-coming South London band who have been described as the new Streets.
Bicycles and wires, icicles and fires. Contents of my brain, I've been so conflicted. Smoking so much pot, got this pot to piss in. I ain't for drinking water, so my piss is barely liquid. Mixed bag, pick a mix, lit fags, never did that. Crumble like a biscuit had. Rich tea, never wanna risky. Trying to live balanced, but fuck it. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I think, what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind. When I can't sleep at night, I think, what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind. Living in the moment, I keep on losing focus. Mission might be hopeless. Living in the moment, I keep on losing focus. Mission might be hopeless. Hey, crazy sands in the crazy lands. It's the crazy man on the beat. And I don't know where I am going, but I'm sitting here and flowing, never staring down at my feet. Battery acid when we're attacking the masses. I'll take my pick of the platter and then we'll cut. Rocking the mic like we monitor lives. Headbutt back to the front, look, and it's like, watch out, you might get knocked out. Said we're breaking out of the box now, with the flock now, and I'm flying up now, when I hear the sound of the clocks. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I think, what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind. When I can't sleep at night, I think, what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind. Hey, look, living in the moment, I keep on losing focus. Mission might be hopeless.
Gonna be a superstar.
Living in the moment, I keep on losing focus. My mission might be hopeless. Hey. So we arrived to the station about 12 o'clock. It is a beautiful, bright, sunny afternoon. Anyway, I'm ready for a night on the town, so make my way to the pub for a few pints. By about 10, the funk is flowing through our bloodstreams. Anyway, here's where we meet our friend the Spider. Things take a turn for the worst and he needs to cool off at the local car park. Anyway, I turn around and little do I know, his knob is out in front of the general public. Well, it's at times like these when I sit back, relax and rewind. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I think what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind. When I can't sleep at night, I think what's the reason for our lives? Grow up, settle down, get a job, get a wife, sit back, relax and rewind.
That was Bainbridge and Co, the very catchy tune Rewind.
The race for a vaccine against the coronavirus has seen a major development these last 2 weeks. First, it was the pharmaceutical Pfizer, which we covered last program, and now Moderna. They both claim to have a vaccine that could go into production and distribution sooner than later. I had the pleasure to discuss this with Dr. José González Franco, who has a PhD in molecular medicine and currently works in a private pharmaceutical sector. Let's hear what she has to say about the advancements made regarding COVID vaccines.
It is my understanding that you have previously worked around viruses. Would that be correct?
Yes, so I did work with viruses, but we were using them as a tool. So viruses infect cells, and then they release their genetic material onto those cells, and some of it gets integrated into the cell. So we were basically using virus as a tool to change the DNA within our cells of study. So one of the things that we used to do with this virus is try to change some of the proteins within the cells. So these became fluorescent. And then with a microscope, you can actually see those proteins, how they move, what they do, and then you continue on studying. So I used viruses as tools for my research.
I can imagine then that the protective measures would have been very strict while you were working around these viruses.
Yeah, so the viruses I was working with were extremely dangerous because they were viruses that could get integrated within a human's genome, right? We were targeting human cells in the lab. So we had to be extra cautious. We always wore 2 lab coats, one on top of the other. And the one on the top was always only reserved for viral work. So it wouldn't leave the room from where we used to work with the virus. And we also used to wear double gloves. We always had ethanol by our side, so alcohol, and then we used to work on cabinets that had their own air system, so they had airflow to prevent anything from going outside the cabinet. And finally, when we finished work, we cleaned everything with alcohol, we cleaned everything with bleach, because alcohol doesn't kill all the viruses, only a great majority of them, but not all of them. So alcohol, bleach, and then we used to put UV light to finish killing everything off. So a lot of precautions to working with these viruses, yes.
And were those viruses that you work with more dangerous than coronavirus?
I mean, that's a tricky question to answer. The virus I work with were a tool to change the genome of human cells, so they could potentially, if I got infected with any of them, they could have potentially generate mutations on my cells, either in the respiratory pathway or on my skin. Usually these viruses don't have a huge potential for replication, so they don't expand a lot because they are again, they are a tool for a lab, and we have safety measures. So, they duplicate for a bit, but then they die off. So I would say, considering that we have that precaution within the virus, I would say the coronavirus can be a bit more dangerous because it can spread like crazy, and it has infected millions of people, and people are dying. So, yeah.
Recently, a vaccine developed by Pfizer broke the news, and even more recently, another pharmaceutical, Moderna, came out with another vaccine. My question would be, why it took so long? Why it takes so long for a vaccine to be developed?
So the clinical development of a vaccine generally takes, I would say, 4 or 5 years. Scientists test these vaccines in clinical trials, and you normally have 4 phases of clinical trials. So firstly, you kind of check whether the vaccine or therapeutic is safe, and then you enroll more and more people as you progress through phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, where you actually are checking the efficacy of the vaccine in this case. Now with COVID, pharmaceuticals are shortening the timelines. So the plan was to release a vaccine within a year, which means that they are doing phase 1 trials to check safety, at the same time that they are doing phase 2 and phase 3, which are for checking efficacy. And they seem to successfully have managed that. So hopefully now they are showing promising results in terms of efficacy in both safety and efficacy. And they expect to start producing massive amounts of vaccines early next year and probably distribute during the summer.
So even though vaccines take a long time, and for us right now it seems like it's taking forever because we are in lockdown, it's actually very fast paced.
It is fast paced, yes. So not only because it's an urgent healthcare issue, and it's also a global issue, but also pharmaceuticals are also seeing that a lot of people are volunteering more to enroll in clinical trials, which is sometimes a bottleneck for trials for other diseases. So it's also the collaboration from, the population that's making this possible.
To better understand all this vaccine race, are the different vaccines being developed right now that different between each other?
So to my understanding, there's 2 types of vaccines. The most predominant one, it's injecting people with RNA. So RNA is basically the instructions that our body uses to produce proteins. And what the vaccine is trying to do is telling you to produce viral protein, and then your body reacts to it. So you acquired immunity towards that. And then another approach that some pharmaceutical companies are trying to do is producing the protein and then injecting that protein.
So which one would be faster and easier to develop? Which I assume is the one Pfizer and Moderna are using, right?
Yes, so there's been a push this late... there's been a trend this past few years to develop RNA-based vaccines because they are more scalable, they are faster to produce, and they are cheaper.
So again, it's the one that directly gives the body the signal, not the one that gives the protein with which the body makes the signal.
Not exactly. So when you give the protein directly, then the body can react and generate immunity to it. However, generating protein is a very expensive and complex process. So pharmaceuticals are trying to develop the primordial step, or the former step. So you produce the RNA, which is cheaper and easier, and then you make your own body. Once you inject the RNA, your own body will create the protein, and then realize that it's not a protein from the body itself, so that it will react. So the immune system will react to it. So you're making the body work a bit more, but at the same time, you're not introducing a foreign protein. Your body is creating the protein, and then it's reacting to it, because then it realizes that this protein doesn't belong here, so I need to generate immunity towards it.
Basically, it's like playing with the immune system to trick it to do what we want it to do.
Yeah, and that's what vaccines were made for, really.
Given the quickness of the production of these vaccines, in your opinion, are they gonna be safe enough?
So these vaccines, in my opinion, will be safe. They've been tested and retested on hundreds of people to be safe. However, I think I'm more concerned about the efficacy of these vaccines, which we will only know once they are widely distributed and you actually see how many people are protected from the virus.
So, considering, as you said, that it will be safe, but perhaps the efficacy will not be enough or as we expected, do you think that people are right to be excited about this vaccine?
I mean, they should. It gives hope to everyone. And we have to think that there's not only one vaccine. There's I think I was reading today, 40 vaccines in development right now. So even if one doesn't work for everyone, probably the other one or the third one or the fourth one will. So I think it's important that all these pharmaceutical companies are investing the money, and governments are also providing money for the development of all these vaccines. And we cannot forget about other companies which are not targeting vaccines but are targeting therapeutics. So we know that there'll be also therapeutics in a year, 2 years. So there's also different ways we can combat this virus.
So there's the route of vaccines, which I assume would be prevention, and then there's the therapeutics, which is the route of treating the disease.
Exactly, yes.
And speculating, of course, when do you think we will have a vaccine to be distributed everywhere for everyone?
So governments worldwide are already saying they will distribute vaccines January, February. To me, I think even though they've released this positive data, Pfizer and Moderna, I think we will see some sort of distribution in the summer. And then probably other vaccines will come later in the winter or the following year.
Obviously, people are excited because they assume that if the vaccine comes out, as we discussed, perhaps in between February and summer, they assume that that will mean the end of lockdown, the end of self-isolation. Would that be realistic?
No, I'm afraid that's not really realistic. If we are lucky, we're going to have a vaccine during the summer, as you said, or even in the winter. But obviously, we need to think that the vaccine is going to be prioritized to the people who are at risk, and more especially to professionals in the healthcare system. Those people need to be protected first, then other public offices like the police and so on. So I think wide distribution of the vaccine is going to come later, possibly in a year or so. So we need to still be patient about it. But yeah, let's all be a bit hopeful, because even though they've done the process a lot faster than they should, they seem to have positive results. So we should still be hopeful that we're going to have a vaccine, and probably we're going to have more than one. And probably in a year or so, we are also going to have therapeutics. So we're all moving forward. So that's good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, Daniel, that was an amazing report. It's just nice to hear that we have got to be realistic and we've got to be sceptical, but there is still hope and a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Indeed. And now, let's hear another tune. This next one is from the wonderful and wacky Lynx. Lynx started out on the drag scene and say they are heading up a new queer revolution with their punky tunes. This one is called I Don't Know What I Want. That was Lynx with I Don't Know What I Want. That kind of transported me to the 80s.
Same. I don't know about you, but listening to music has definitely been getting me through this lockdown.
Me too, and I'm sure that's the case for many others. I think it's the reason why there's been an outrage in the creative industries in response to Chancellor Rishi Sunak's suggestion that artists should retrain to find work.
Exactly. Well, I think more than ever we're all kind of enjoying the work of artists, and their importance in society seems as though it is being publicly relegated compared to other professions.
It raises the question, from a scientific point of view, how does art benefit us?
Well, according to science, the arts actually really do benefit us. There is growing and resilient evidence for the arts' participation in benefiting mental health and well-being and recovery from physical illnesses as well.
Yeah, in fact, the World Health Organization published a report with gathered evidence from a wide range of studies showing arts being beneficial to health. The WHO report suggests that all forms of art, including visual arts, performing arts, literature, and so on, could be helpful in providing support in the treatment and prevention of non-infectious diseases, neurological conditions, and mental illnesses.
Blimey, that's amazing. Well, then surely it seems like a mistake to reduce the importance of the arts. Even from an economic point of view, if it has a positive effect on our health, it's likely to save money in the big picture, surely.
Exactly, and some places are appreciating the potential benefit of the arts. In fact, in Wales, the NHS and the Art Council have just signed a 3-year agreement to raise awareness over the health benefit of art participation, with its main target to use the arts to combat loneliness.
Oh, that seems like a great use of the arts. And after all, the arts have been used to gather people throughout our entire history. But scientifically, why can the arts have such a positive effect?
Some of its power actually arises from its influence on the reward circuitry of the brain. Listening and playing music triggers the release of dopamine, a brain chemical associated with reward, and increases activity in the limbic system, which has functions in emotion.
Right, but then how does this reduce loneliness?
Well, the pleasure derived from making and experience art probably underlies its ability to elevate the mood of people who feel lonely and perhaps increase their ability and willingness to seek out social interaction.
Finding ways to tackle loneliness is just so important, especially during COVID.
Indeed, and I'm sure with the power of Zoom, even now there's still lots of ways we can connect people through art.
Let's hope so, Daniel, hey? So now let's appreciate some art here on the show, and I think we're ready for another tune. Up next is a cover of Erykah Badu's hit song On and On by Kivalusha Lisha featuring Karma.
Oh, it's lit. Check it. Oh, my. I'm feeling high. My money's gone. I'm all alone. Too much to see. The world keeps turning. Oh, what a day. What a day, what a day. Peace and blessings manifest with every lesson learned. If your knowledge were your wealth, then it would be well earned. If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. Most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same. Oh, on and on and on and on. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. All night till the break of dawn. I go on and on and on and on. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. God damn it, I'ma sing my song. I was born underwater with $3 and 6 dimes. Yeah, you might laugh, 'cause you did not do your math. Like 1, 2, 3. Damn, y'all feel that? Whew. Like 1, 2, 3. The world keeps turning. Oh, what a day. What a day, what a day. The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. Does it seem colder in your summertime and hotter in your fall? If we were made in his image, call us by our names. Most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same. Oh, on and on and on and on. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. All night till the break of dawn. We on, no. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. Mad props to the guy, come on.
I just lit up another one, and now I'm writing down my wrongs. She said she liked my song, she going on and on and on. Snapping on the phone while I be on the microphone. They wanna know what stu we at, recording right from home. Fuck the cash, a high five, so your knees to hit my blunt. I'm a down-to-earth guy, see I be living how I want. So just hit this L for me, cover the smell for me. If I get locked down, would you come drop the bell on me? cause I've been living life like go with the flow. When it get dark, I tend to move wherever my soul finna glow. If we were made in his image, don't call me by my frame, just call me by my name. I'm only trying to maintain, just like you can't bottle it up, recycle. You see, life's just a cycle, similar to how a bike do. So now I'm breaking rules, cause I got nothing to lose. Turning off the breaking news, I'm waking up making moves.
Oh, on and on and on and on. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. You can't fuck with me, so just leave me alone. On and on and on and on. My cipher keeps moving like a rolling stone. On and on and on and on. And on and on.
That was a cover of Erika Badu's On and On by Kivona Lucia.
Now, Daniel, I don't know if I've told you this, but I actually started growing my own food during lockdown in March.
Oh, really? In this weather?
Well, not in this weather as such. It was slightly warmer in March, thank goodness. But it was a bit of trial and error. And this was the first time we'd ever grown anything. But we had all manner of things. So we had tomato to courgettes and strawberries and even purple sprouting broccoli. And it was really rewarding.
I can imagine. And have you learned any interesting things since you started this?
Actually, so much. So I did quite a lot of research before we planted anything in the vegetable patch my dad made for us. I did loads of research into companion planting, which I'd never really thought about before. And for example, lettuces and chives are really good to plant together because lettuce is often attacked by aphids. However, aphids are deterred by the really stinky plants like chives or onions, so planting them together is really good. And also marigolds and tomatoes are really good garden buddies as well. They have very similar growing conditions, and research has also indicated that marigolds actually give off this really distinctive smell that whitefly, which is a massive pest for tomatoes, they actually really hate, so it stops them from getting munched.
They are like bodyguards to each other. That's so interesting. All these plants working together to protect each other, right? Now, you're the only person who actually started growing their own food during lockdown. There's been a surge of interest in people growing their own produce during lockdown. Why do you think this is?
Well, I think many reasons, really. For us, it was kind of just because we had so much more free time during lockdown, and so we could experiment. However, for loads of other people, it's been because they have actually feared that they may not be able to depend on the commercial food systems.
How so?
Well, as many as 1 in 10 in England and Wales and Northern Ireland as well were forced to use food banks during lockdown. And as some government food packages for the most vulnerable were highly criticised for offering food with a really low nutritional value. So across the UK, a number of other local food growing initiatives have sprung up and expanded during lockdown. So due to concern about supermarket shortages, to help provide healthy food to vulnerable people.
Oh, yes. I've heard about quite a few places that have community-run organic market gardens.
Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? Whereabouts have you, where have you heard of them?
Well, they are really all over the country, really. An example of one I read about was just outside of Cambridge. About 110 volunteers turned a 2-acre stretch of unused bare soil into a community farm, with all the produce going to 7 local community food hubs.
That's amazing. So they're not only addressing food poverty, but also they're bringing people together to reduce social isolation, which also improves mental health and well-being as well.
Exactly. I can only imagine for lots of the volunteers, it was the first place that people had been besides their corner shop before lockdown.
So leading on from this, we'll be talking to our very own Lily Shepherd about some of the work that she's been doing with Food Distribution Centre across lockdown. But first, we're going to listen to Reckless by Bainbridge & Co.
We got lost inside that city, lost inside the truth, eh? We got lost inside the view, and it's hard to take a look around when it's just me and the moon. Moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless, moving and silent, late night in the breeze. Moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless, moonlit and silent, late night in the breeze. Moving, I'm reckless, I'm wasting away. Do what we do, so we do it our way. I'm reckless, I'm wasting away. Do what we do, so we do it our way. Do it our way, yeah, yeah.
Look a man down and I set my fosters. I'll take your team to the doctors. I'll take your whole team to school.
Who's got time to waste? Who's got money to make? Who's got fried today? Well, I ain't got time, so I lie awake. It's like, who's got time to waste? Who's got money to make? Who's got fried today? Well, I ain't got time, so it's just like moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless. Moonlit and silent, late night in the breeze. Moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless. Moonlit and silent, late night in the breeze. I'm coolin', she's walking, till morning, late night in the breeze. I'm coolin', she's walking, till morning, late night in the breeze.
The sun begins to show, and the bin men take the stage. My ember stops to grow, it's just a flicker from a flame. It's pretty nights like these, when it's just me and the moon. But when I heard that music play, just might need to move.
Moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless. Moonlit and silent, late night in the breeze. Moving, I'm reckless, I'm losing, I'm restless. Moonlit and silent, late night in the breeze.
I loved that. That was Reckless by Bainbridge & Co. So the first lockdown saw a huge push in charities, local businesses and community organisations to provide food and essentials to people who needed to isolate.
Lily Shepherd, part of the Science at One team, helped to run a food distribution centre in South London. Lily, can you tell us about your experience?
Yeah, of course. So I was working at the time in local government in Wandsworth in southwest London, and I wasn't working in anything to do with food distribution. I was working giving support to counsellors and providing kind of legal advice and things like that. But they set up an emergency food distribution thing with Age UK, a charity in the area. And at first it was just for providing food to older people who had to isolate and did not have anybody who could shop for them or drop off food to them. And over time it became a much bigger thing. There was a lot of single parents with big families who had been forced to isolate and didn't know anybody who could get food for them. And it started off quite small and it grew, and it ended up involving a lot of community organisations. And it was a really rewarding thing to be a part of, and for a purely selfish reason, a nice excuse to get out of the house during lockdown.
I can imagine. And my first question would be, where did the food come from?
Yeah, so that's interesting actually, because at the start we had very limited food. The council had a small budget. I mean, it didn't seem small when you looked at the number, but actually when you're trying to feed 30, 40, 50 people a day, money doesn't go very far. So at first we were relying on donations from local people in the area, and one food shop a day with this money. And it was very limited. The bags of food we were giving out to people were frankly quite sad. And so then this fantastic woman from the tourism department of another council took over, and she had so many connections with local restaurants and local shops, and we started getting all these brilliant deliveries of kind of full frozen meals, gourmet frozen meals that we could send out to people, and that was lovely, and it was great to see that kind of community effort behind it. So by the end, we were sending people out. I wanted the food deliveries, to be honest.
And I assume also a concern was to provide good nutrition, right? So
exactly, yeah.
what kind of foods were the ones that you preferred to give?
Well, particularly when we started taking on families, nutrition became a big focus, because we had families with kind of 6 children between the ages of 4 and 15, and so we set up lots of connections with greengrocers, and so we had fruit and vegetables that we could give out. We wanted people to be able to cook with their food, as well as just eat tinned beans and things like that. So that was great that we could give people fresh fruit and veg. But also, I think the actual packaged frozen meals that we got from local restaurants were great, because they were proper meals with they were properly balanced with protein, veg and carbs. So that was great. That was lovely to be able to give those to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you're giving these packages to quite very vulnerable people. So how did you manage to do that with minimum contact?
So we had 2 vans a day that went out, they were actually local community drivers who are normally driving older people around to hospital and appointments and things like that, which is a council service, which at the time wasn't operating. So those vans got redirected to the food distribution centre. And then we had one person either from Age UK or from the council who was DBS checked, going out in PPE, and they would drop the food off just them. So the people that did that, I think, definitely felt like they were getting quite a lot of exercise, because dropping off large bags of food, sometimes climbing up a 20-block tower block just to drop that off, was quite good exercise, I think.
And is the program still running? And more importantly, if we want to help, how can we participate?
So the program's not running during this lockdown. We got to a point when we were doing it around June, when we started to realise that the people that were calling us and asking for food weren't people who were who needed food because of lockdown, who needed food because they were isolating, and the service couldn't. The council just didn't have the money to continue funding the service for an extended period of time, and it was specifically set up as an emergency response to lockdown. And we'd fallen from kind of 50 deliveries today to sort of 10 deliveries today, and we realised that the people that needed food were actually people who probably needed food for different reasons, because they'd lost their jobs, because they just simply couldn't afford it, and that's a very different thing to deal with, and it's not sustainable to provide those people just with food packages. They need to be directed to social services. They need to be to be given help to help them find a job, or they need to be given financial support. And so those people were redirected to services that could more sustainably support them for a longer period of time, and then we shut down the operation. That being said, there were a couple of people that we redirected to other charities that were doing similar things. So if you want to help, the Wimbledon Dons, who are still doing this, they're still providing the food packages, and you can make donations to them online, and anyone that was left over from the Age UK programme has been redirected towards that, and I know that they are helping out during this lockdown. So if you want to help, then they're the people to contact.
Yeah, and of course I assume normal food banks, they always need food.
Of course, yeah. So community donations were a huge help. I put a box one day when I came home sad about how little food we had in the corner shop at the bottom of my road, and I was just overwhelmed. The next day I went back and it was overfilled. There was food spilling out all over the place. And so if you do have food to donate, then direct it to a food bank. Find a charity in your local area that's accepting it. Drop it off at a food bank box in your local supermarket. They're everywhere. I think Sainsbury's has them. So there's lots you can do.
Definitely. I actually work for Wimbledon Dons. I volunteered for them.
Oh wow!
Outside of we wait outside Tesco's actually.
Oh yeah.
And you just hold up a sign of what we're collecting today. So we'd be collecting tins, and we'd be collecting other non-perishables. It was amazing the amount of support we got. You don't go down the queue, and people would come out of the shops after their big shop, and they'd have almost more things to give to us, and they'd bought in Tesco's for themselves. So it was fantastic. It's nice to see the community spirit. It gives you real hope, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think particularly for the people that you're dropping the food off to, when they're that isolated and they feel that alone, to know that there's an entire community of people outside that are willing to give to them, even when they don't know them, I imagine is quite a comforting thing in a difficult time.
They know that they are visible.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you feel visible. It makes you feel like people are willing to help you, and that must be incredibly comforting.
Yeah, we all need support like that at the moment.
We do.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to us, Lily.
Thank you.
We've got our final song for you now. Another one from the brilliantly punky Lynx. This is their new single, Brand New Face.
I don't like my teeth, so I go to the teeth store, buy myself some new teeth. Now I like my teeth more. But my teeth are in my lips, and they're an eyesore. Fleshy little strips, I switch them out from the lip store. So my lips are juicy now, you see how my lips are moving, but they are in a face that could do with some improving. So I rip my face off, go to the face shop, buy myself a new face. Now I like my face lots. And I say, hey, I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. Okay. I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. And it looks so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. Brand new face. I don't like my waist. It's a bit too wide, so I take this machete and I cut out the side. Then I take what's left, staple it to my behind. Now I'm super thick with a microscopic waistline. Don't ask me how I'm feeling. I said I'm feeling fine. I just wanna look amazing all the fucking time. And there's a miracle solution, a perfect illusion of a facial evolution with a gorgeous execution. And I say, hey, I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. Okay. I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. And it looks so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. I'm so beautiful. Brand new face. Okay. I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. Skinny, I'm so pretty, I'm so handsome. I don't need a snack, bitch, I am one. I'm a 10 out of 10 on a Samsung. I'm walking down the street, they say damn son, but I don't even hear them because I'm way too busy checking out my reflection in the car park next to me. The woman inside stares back and I say, hey, I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face. I got a brand new face.
That was Brand New Face by Lynx. Now we are going to hear from Salome Ashenden, who will tell us about robots. But not just any robots, robotic devices who are joining the battle against coronavirus.
Let's talk about robots, specifically their role in battling the coronavirus. Our problems have changed dramatically. With novel problems come novel solutions. The coronavirus is proving an unprecedented challenge to us humans, but we are starting to see how robots could help us out. Concerns for people living in care homes as well as COVID-19 positive patients are increasing. As many become ill from the coronavirus, they are separated from their loved ones. While there is little human comfort for many during this incredibly difficult time, care homes and hospitals are employing technical solutions to try and provide some outside connections, distraction, and even medical assistance. Thousands of machines have been interacting with contagious hospital patients in China, Hong Kong, and Korea, and in some care homes in the US. The device continuously moves from one patient to the other, providing remote video chat with doctors and nurses, even taking the temperature from up to 60 centimeters away. The AI-embedded voice-activated device called Temi can run Amazon Alexa as well as other voice platforms such as Tencent in China. Gal Goren, CEO of Temi, explained that today's chips are so advanced in power that it enables us to do a lot of very complex calculations in order to bring data from multiple sources. So, the robot can understand how the environment looks like, how the user looks like, who is the user I should serve right now? How do I go from point A to point B? And specifically for the corona situation, Goren says that this is what we need. All the user needs to do is tell the robot where he or she wants to go. Despite the fact that a robot will never be able to replace human interaction, it offers sufficient support to people in need. Robotic was designed by researchers at a university in mainland China. The wheeled device treats patients on behalf of medical staff. It can be controlled remotely from anywhere in the world. This device was specifically designed to perform close contact tasks, such as ultrasounds and mouth swabs, as well as listening to organs without the need of a stethoscope. In the Netherlands, Sarah robots have been used long before the pandemic. The company that designed Sarah is providing users with a free month trial. For the first time in a care home in the Netherlands, Sarah is being used in a trial to visit a patient who's critically ill with the coronavirus. A member of the Sarah robotics team explains that she got a phone call from the care home stating that they would be using Sarah with a COVID-19 positive patient. The employee explains that it was very hard for her as she knew that the patient wouldn't survive the illness.
That's all we've got for you today. We hope we brought a little bit of brightness to your lockdown.
Thank you so much to all of our contributors today, and of course to Lily for your tunes.
If you're a musician and you would like us to play your stuff, please let us know in the comments. We are always happy to.
And thank you to all our listeners for joining us on Science at 1. We really hope you've enjoyed our Cheerful Lockdown special this week.
Come back next week at the same time.
That's all from us. Thanks for listening.